Good evening and welcome back to In the Know, brought to you by the Racing Post and Coral on the eve of a incredible first day of the Cheltenham Festival 2023 and getting ready and raring to go for day two. But quite frankly, if you'd scripted how you wanted an opening day of a festival to go, it would not have gone better than it did today. Plenty have said that today could well be the best day of national hunt racing ever, and in a sport quite prone to hyperbole, I might well be close to agreeing with them. It started beautifully and it ended wonderfully. Marine Nationale beating Facile Vega in a Supreme that lived up to the billing. El Fabiolo absolutely bolting up in the Arkle and only his third start over fences. Korak Rambler repeating the dose from last year and maybe teeing himself up for a Grand National win. Constitution Hill doing what we wanted him to do and winning the Champion Hurdle in second gear. Honeysuckle returning to the scene of so many victories and winning the mares again in a titanic battle. We had a cracking finish to the Fred Winter under a inspired ride. And of course, Gaillard de Maynil. For favourite backers, the only Grade 1 horse in the field coming from nowhere to win over the final fence. It has been absolutely sensational and I'm a flat fan. So what have we got for day two? That's the question. Plenty of you already in the chat getting ready and raring to go. Good evening to David Watchman, to Patrick, the Tribe, Daniel Valentine, Hakuna Matata. Indeed. Duncan Evans, Michael McCarthy, plenty of people. Chris appears to have either fallen asleep on the keyboard or had a good bet on Korak Rambler. Either way, it's been a cracking day. It's live and interactive, as we said, so get involved in the chat, preferably with some thoughts and selections and not arguing amongst yourselves, and we'll hopefully crack on with day two. Now, it has been an absolutely cracking day, unless, of course, you're a bookmaker. So first things first, I'm going to introduce David Stevens. How are you doing, David?
Good evening, Ross. Yeah, look, it was a pleasure and a privilege to be there for most of the race. I have to say, I did have to get away, obviously, before the end to prepare for tonight. But the honeysuckle roar that went up when she hit the front was, I mean, it genuinely was a hairs on the back of the neck moment. It was something very special. And after you've seen Constitution Hill go and do what he did in the Champion Hurdle, the fact that actually he probably wasn't the day's biggest talking point, honeysuckle was, just tells you what a remarkable day it's been. But in terms of being a bookmaker, and it's one of those, I get to see the sort of the figures race by race, and 5 out of the 7 were pretty miserable results for the bookmakers. And once again, I've come away myself hardly having anything to cheer. Korak Rambler was the bright spot. I'm going to just stop making it difficult myself. When they back a Willie Mullins favourite like El Fabiolo, I'm just going to join in. When they back Gaillard de Maynil in the last, I'm just going to join in on these gambles. That's it. That's my resolution. Probably last about 24 hours.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes, David. But so far, I mean, you've lost your jacket after day one, so it'll be waistcoat, shirt and tie by the end of Martin Pipe, I think.
Scary thought by Thursday's show.
Yeah.
So I sit here. Anyway, we'll leave that one there. I'm going to chuck in a price boost at this place just to take people's minds off of the thought of me sat here. Anyway, Jerry Colomb in the Brown Advisory. I say keep it simple tomorrow. Irish train favourite in one of the races is 6-4, 2-1 for the duration of this live show, up to 20 quid. Jerry Colomb in the Brown Advisory.
There you go, Jerry Colomb to win the Brown Advisory. Good evening to you, Tom Segal. Even a man who's been there, done that and seen it all and watched the replay 20 times must have been excited about the action that unfolded at Cheltenham today.
Good job I don't lay horses, Ross. I would have been absolutely brassing now. Honeysuckle obviously wouldn't have been a great one for me. I'd have laid it till the cows come home, but I was delighted for the connections, obviously, for Henry Bromhead, who I've met many times. It was a great result for him and his wife Heather, who I've met too. So that was absolutely fantastic. How Gaillard de Maynil won. I thought it was the third best horse the whole way round. The one that hadn't fallen in front, Chemical Energy wouldn't have gone after him. He would have won, and Gaillard de Maynil would have been third. But there we go. There we go. That's the way. That's the bookie's life, isn't it? But that's it. I thought, yeah, as you say, fantastic day. Didn't lose because Korak Rambler won, so I was fine.
Yeah, and I think did I have 20 quid on Honeysuckle at 22s with you, Tom? I can't
Hey, boom, boom. No, I have to say, don't lay horses, Ross. Good job. Good job.
But this is the thing, it's day one, isn't it, Tom? And day one is traditionally, I mean, the play spot always pays about 10 quid, and it's one of those races where you get the crowning of greats, but the competitive action continues. It's going to get harder and harder and harder as the week goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at the races today, the anti-post first and second favourite were first and second in the Supreme. The anti-post first and second favourite were first and second in the Arkle. The 4 horses that were priced under 10 to 1 were first, second, third, and fourth in the Ultima. Then Constitution Hill goes in. Then Honeysuckle goes in. You need a bit of a crystal ball to find Jazzy Matty a bit, and then the good thing in the last goes in. So while it was never going to be an easy day for someone trying to find something outside the obvious, but yes, hopefully we can find a few later in the week that everyone else hasn't found, which is sort of the point of why we're here.
Yeah, absolutely. But like I said, it happens it happens at Royal Ascot. First day's often like that. It happens at Cheltenham. First day's often like that. So there's a lot of water to pass under the bridge, Keels. But I mean, we said about the other ones are fairly obvious. But even that Jazzy Matty, this is festivals all over, isn't it? You find the right race, you find the right piece of form, and you get chinned by the other one out of the contest to do you on the line.
Well, I mean. That was my only bright spot. Was a very, very tiny saver on Jazzy Matty, funny enough, and it was you know what I mean. But it wasn't a winning day by any stretch of the imagination. Very, very effective actually. So it's become sort of standard for me on the first day, and I don't know why I do it. Like you said, all the jollies always win, and I always oppose them. So it wasn't good for me at all. It was a cracking day's racing though, really brilliant. Love to see Constitution Hill. I thought Marine Nationale was really good in the first, and it was a great ride by Michael O'Sullivan as well. Just to let him pop the last before even asking him. It was a really confident bit of riding that. I think he's obviously a very decent horse.
Yeah, he is indeed. He was the one that I'm not going to say was surprised by, but impressed by the sense I thought that was an Open Supreme, and I think it kind of worked out like that. But as they crossed the line, he was getting further and further clear of the field. His neck was out as if he was enjoying every minute, as if he just thought, you know what, I'm only just getting into it now, and we've won.
I mean, the whip wasn't used until about 10 yards from the line, was it? You know what I mean? He did win pretty easily. It was a very impressive win.
Yeah, and as you said, you talked up connections last night, Keels, and it's paid off handsomely. But really good stuff, and setting up as well, because like you said, I mean, we need a decent horse in the 2 mile division. El Fabiola might be that. Marine Nationale, who could well be an Arkle returner's horse next year, and it's all setting up very nicely indeed. We'll get into day 2 after this. There you go. Get involved in the members club, and obviously the best thing for that is you can play all the replays back as well, which is often the key to finding winners at the festivals. And there's quite a lot of decent form on offer on day 2, but hopefully we'll see a star as impressive as you today. There we go. Look at that. She's happy. She's very happy indeed after winning that Ayres Hurdle today. Let's see what scarf we'll be picking up. Keels, I think you're out of a job, mate. But we'll go to Cheltenham for the opener tomorrow.
If it carries on like this.
The Ballymore Novices Hurdle, Keels. It's only one day. The Ballymore Novices Hurdle is first things first tomorrow. 10 of them lining up for this 2 mile 5 furlong race, and they of course went closely at the Mullins team with Fasal Vega in the opener today. But talk, chat has all been about Impere Pass, who's 15-8 favourite here. Good Land is 3-1 for a Connell and O'Sullivan double up. Hermes Allen is 9-2. Gaelic Warrior 6s. Champ Kealy is 13-2. Oh My Lord is 22s with American Mike at 33s. Marble Sands is 66s. Master Chewy and Persian Time lining up as well. But I'm going to come to you first for this, Tom Segal, because we talk about preview shows. We talk about trust your eyes and close your ears. I mean, it's got to the point where I had to buy earmuffs, earplugs, and leave the room because I didn't really fancy Impere Pass to win a Grade 1 race at the Cheltenham Festival. But talk is apparently quite expensive, and it's put him into favouritism.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, that if you'd have said that the current market was what it was going to be a week ago, everyone would have laughed at you, wouldn't they? Hermes Allen was he 5-2 or into 2-1 or 9-4 at some stage? Good Land was a 7-1 shot, and everything's changed, isn't it? And I sometimes find that that's what happens with markets on the day of the race. I mean, we all have a love, like getting stuck into one of these anti-post races, but dearie me, you get some incredibly bad value, don't you? Look, if you're lucky enough to be on Impere Pass, you're not, or Good Land, but the Hermes Allen backers at 3-1 and 5-2 will be looking at that with those prices there and thinking, blimey, what's gone on here? Has he lost a leg? I think the thing is, the first 8 home in the Supreme were Irish trained, weren't they? So I think you might even get bigger than that Hermes Allen tomorrow. I think you might even get 5-1 in the morning. I don't know. I think it's a wide open race. I can't back Impere Pass at 15-8. It's got stamina to prove and hasn't beaten anything at all yet. Good Land, I think that price is on the back of Marine National's win rather than his form. I think Hermes Allen has the best form, and I think the second best form is probably Champ Kealy, and the third best form is Gaelic Warrior. Personally, I think Gaelic Warrior has a good chance in this. I know some people say he's the third string of Willie Mullins, but I think he's been crying out for 2.5 miles, and I'm not worried about the jumping at all. He only does it at the last hurdle. He was perfectly fine at Leopardstown and Cheltenham last year. I went back and watched every race, every hurdle he took. It's just when he gets clear, he comes on, he gets off the bridle that he slides to his right. If he does that, if he's in front, jump in the last and slides to his right, I won't worry. I've got a better bet than 6-1, that's for sure. So I like Gaelic Warrior, but I think you've got to be worried about a whole heap of those, haven't you? Impere Pass, Good Land, Champ Kealy, Hermes Allen. It's a wide open race. I couldn't be confident about any of them, really.
Yeah, okay. Gaelic Warrior is currently a 6-1 shot. I know you'll have a stat, Tom. Horses coming off the back of a handicap into a Grade 1 race at Cheltenham 4 from 314. You know what I mean? Harry Bobsworth, Iris's Gift and Rule Supreme. To be fair, quite a nice lineup. So you have to be a very good horse to do it. But it might well be the case. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned quite a few there. But Keels, I absolutely love this Champ Kealy as a hurdler. The worry in the back of my mind is that on paper this is going to be a right burn-up. But Impere Pass, I watched his replays back. I thought this horse is going to be a chaser in the making the way he hurdles. But Champ Kealy barely leaves the ground by hurdling. And I thought he's won the recognised trial. And if they don't go 2-kick, he was the each-way play for me. What did you think?
Yeah, he could be. I do think it's quite open. I mean, Impere Pass will probably win because I backed him at 14-1 for the Supreme. It's typical of me to get the wrong race for these horses, and he has impressed me. I mean, I did think he looked really good. My initial feeling about Good Land was that race wasn't as good as normal at Leopardstown. But I mean, at the moment there's only one bet, isn't there? It's got to be Hermes Allen. He just shouldn't be that big. I know. First 8 home, but he's in a different league to Timurus anyway, isn't he? Surely. And he's just done everything so easily. He won't mind the ground. He's run on the track before and won easily. So I'm just glued to him now at 9-2. I just didn't think he was going to be anywhere near that price.
Yeah, I guess you looked at this race and thought, well, he's a favourite I can take on, Keels, and now suddenly he's double what you're expecting, and the whole thing changes, doesn't it?
Yeah, like Tom said, he might get even bigger. Because all the rest ahead of him, around him in the better are Irish, and as Tom said, the first 8 home in the Supreme, and everyone's going to think, oh well, the English are rubbish again, and it might turn out to be true, but I think he's, I just think he's a very, very decent horse and got a proper chance.
Okay, the Ballymore market's all over the place then, David Stevens. What have you got for us?
Yeah, I mean, as Tom said, a week ago, Hermes Allen was 9-4 favourite. He's now double that price, and possibly we haven't seen the end of the drift. I suppose it just is how much of the run of Timurus does bother you, and it shouldn't do. Paul Nicholls has been in flying form coming into this festival. I think we just have to ignore that Supreme. But, I mean, I said it at the top of the show, Impere Passe will probably just win. I mean, Al Fabiolo was backed into clear favouritism today. The difference being was he had the form in the book, winning that Irish Arkle. Impere Passe doesn't. But there is such confidence behind this horse, and that's only going to increase after the win of Al Fabiolo today. The second horse, Good Land, I think there is definitely the result of the Supreme has impacted on his price. People perhaps taking him a little bit more seriously. In fact, I'm just looking live at Impere Passe is now 7-4. So I mean, it is shortening as we speak, literally. I said at the top of the show, I'm going to change my power. I mean, I just think it's one of those that probably just will win. But Hermes Allen, for me, has the best form in the book. And if he keeps drifting, he'll have to be in the portfolio as well.
Okay, so plenty of opinions on the Ballymore, as there are at home as well. Doghouse Riley says Impair wins doing handstands. And K-Side reminds us of the Challow curse. It will be aboard Hermes Allen, who no doubt will run really well in this, then step up over fences next year and go sort of Brown Advisory, King George, Bowl, and so on and so forth, and it'll be a very nice chaser. But an interesting race. Tom, what's the selection?
Obviously very worried about Imperi Pass, but I like Gaelic Warrior. I think he's you don't win handicaps off 1, 4, 3, in the style he did without being a graded horse. I think he's got a great chance.
Okay, Keels.
Yeah, Hermes Allen for me. I just think he's just gone out to a very backable price now.
Okay, David.
Imperi Passe, and the entire bookmaking industry can thank me tomorrow when it gets inevitably chin now.
Okay, there we go. And I'm still yet to find anyone else who's actually tipped up Champ Kealy, which is actually increasing my confidence on him. He's won the Lawless of Nace, which has got a cracking record in this race. I think he's going to be hard to beat with Danny Mullins, who's 2 from 2 on him as well. So that's the Ballymore for you. Next up, we're over fences for I'm going to say unusually competitive Brown Advisory, but certainly over the past few years, it's started to get a little bit thinner on the ground in terms of genuine competitors. We still have a short price favourite, of course, in the shape of Jerry Colombe at 5-4, but genuine Grade 1 horses up against him, like Sir Gerhard, who's in at 9-2, Upton Trip. The real whacker for Patrick Neville is 11-2. Gallia de Lito, not necessarily as soft as she was of light, but still got a chance at 15-2. Time Hill 9s, Thunderrock 16s, Adamantly Chosen 18s, Ramillies 22s, and Bron, Am I Right, and I Am Maximus make up the field as well. And even I Am Maximus has run well in Grade 1 company in the past. So even though we've got a 5-4 shot here, Keels, there's quite a few in here that you could see getting involved and improving, in particular for the staying trip.
Yeah, there are, but the improvement for the trip very much includes Jerry Colombe, doesn't it? I thought he was very, very impressive at Sandown. It looked like he just started to get going again as he was pulling away, 100 yards from home up that hill. So, I think he's very much the one to beat. I was half looking forward to taking him on if the ground was quick, and while it wasn't desperate today, we had a pretty heavy shower just about half an hour ago as well. So that'll keep it wet, I'd imagine. And I think he's very much the one to beat. The confidence behind Sir Gerhard, I know he's a dual festival winner, but one chase run with some sketchy jumping, shall we say, and never run over 3 miles. I mean, I couldn't have him on my mind. I can't see him being second favourite, but I couldn't have a few horses on my mind that won today as well. So that's Cheltenham for you. Time Hill's drifted out to a big enough price. I think he runs really well here, doesn't he? He's got 4 really good runs to his name at this track. If he jumps okay, he's going to be a player, but I do think Jerry Colombe's the one to beat. So I sat this one out.
Yeah, Jerry Colombe is 5-4, and Gordon Elliott, of course, has yet to win this race. So he's won plenty of them, but he hasn't won the Brown Advisory yet. 5-4, Jerry Colombe. And Tom, I know you're not going to listen to him, but stats all over the shop. Sir Gerhard, the last Ballymore double up was 1988. Time Hill, the last 22 Quarto Star winners have been beaten. Gallia de Lito, Brief Gale, the last mare in 1995. Now I want you to put a fork in all them and tell us what you fancy.
Sorry, what was going on there?
I was just giving you some info there, Tom. But it's fine. It's fine. I know.
Terrible.
I know. I'm just putting some colour into the show. What can I say?
Terrible price, Jerry Colombe for me. 5-4. I think he's not. When you got back in 5-4 shots, you wanted to be at least top on Racing Post ratings, and I don't think he is. He was good in the Scilly Isles, and he's going to stay stay the 3 miles for sure. But is the form any good, really? Beating Balco Coastal, I think he'd be a 33-1 shot in this, wouldn't he? I think he's about 16 to win the Turners tomorrow. So don't think the form's that great. Sir Gerhard, I think, is the best horse in the race, but he's had the worst preparation. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a big move for him tomorrow. I really wouldn't. I think punters like backing festival horses that they know, and he's won 2 festival races, hasn't he? I can't back him because he didn't jump very well on his first try, and he's going up in trip to 3 miles for the first time. So, but I could see there being a move for him. I think they'll be much closer in the market than they are there. Real Whacker's a good jumper. A bit worried about whether he'll really stay. I thought his worst part in the Dipper was his last furlong. He's a brilliant jumper though. So his hurdles form suggests 3 miles is okay, but only okay. Not like he was smashing home in any of the races. Galliotto just can't win. I don't know what she's doing at 15-2. How Time Hill is 9-1 is beyond me. He's worse. I mean, this is a worse drift than Hermes Allen for me, because he's won a Grade 1. I know Hermes Allen has won a Grade 1, but he's up against Willie Mullins' battalions. This is a proper good horse with the best form. He's got the best chase form, I think, and he's got the best hurdles form, and yet he's 9-1 to win this. I watched his win at Kempton the other day, and he jumped very, very slickly. I didn't see him make a mistake. I saw him be safe. I saw him do everything you'd want in a novice chaser at Kempton. If he jumps like that, I think he's got a very good chance. I cannot believe he's 9-1. I mean, if you ran Galliotto against him against hurdles, it would be 1-15 Time Hill to beat, and yet he didn't make a mistake. The same with the Real Whacker. They haven't got the same ability as Time Hill. Now, he's got to jump round. He obviously wasn't very good at Exeter on his debut, and he was horrendous at Newbury. But last time he was fine. He really was. Go and watch it back. Everyone's telling me he can't jump. He can jump. He was good at Kempton. If he gets round, if he gets in the same rhythm he does there, he has a great each-way chance at 9-1 for me. I think that's completely the wrong price.
Okay, Time Hill at 9-1 then for Philip Hobbs. A 9-year-old, though. A 9-year-old in a novice chase at Cheltenham. Well, wonders never cease. But the one who interests me, the one I need someone to tell me the price. Again, we mentioned it in the preview show. I thought you might go for the Turners, but Adamantly Chosen is £1 inferior rated to Jerry Colomb. His half brother was third in a Munster National. He should improve for the step up in trip. He's been second to Mike Potter, second to Jerry Colomb, and I don't understand, Keels, how a horse with a rating of 153, unexposed at the trip, trained by Willie Mullins, is an 18-1 shot.
Yeah, I must admit, I've had a sneaky few quid on him. I forgot to mention him. He's only been beaten by Jerry Colomb and Mighty Potter on his last two starts, hasn't he? And he was supplemented as well, wasn't he? So, yeah, there's reasons for thinking he can run well at a price for sure.
David Stevens, what have you got for the Brown Advisory? A price boost at the very least, I believe.
We have indeed. This first two race double is going to be very popular in Perret Passé and Jerry Colomb. Both of them to win, I'm just checking this, by over 2.5 lengths, was 10-1, is now 12-1. As I say, it will be a popular double. I think Tom must have just nodded off when you told him why Time Hill couldn't win. It's all to do with the winners of the Courtauld Star, Tom. You need to listen more carefully.
Okay.
I think it's also, I mean, nine-year-olds in novice chases, though, Tom. I know we're talking stats and trends, but if you're in any novice race at Cheltenham and you're 9 years old, then something's gone wrong along the way, right?
Oh no, nothing's gone wrong with Time Hill, isn't it? They tried to win the Stayers Hurdle. That's all. He was such a good hurdler, they kept him hurdling. I don't have any time for trends, boys, at all, Ross. I think it's the biggest load of gump it talked in racing.
I'm not asking you about trends, Tom. I'm asking you about 9-year-old horses in Grade 1s.
That is a trend, isn't it? If people are telling me that 9-year-olds can't win novice chases at Cheltenham, of course they can. Of course they can. Just how many 9-year-olds run in novice chases at Cheltenham? Probably about one every 3 years. You know, not hardly ever any run. Not many as good as Time Hill have ever run, and not many as good as Appreciate have ever run in it. I give them both very, very solid chances this week. The age does not worry me at all. Okay,
fair enough. David Stevens, you were saying?
No, I don't think I was to add anything to add to that beyond Jerry Colomb will win to make it another really good day for favourite backers.
Okay, fair enough. The Brown Advisory Novices Chase then. Again, plenty of opinions at home. Jack says Jerry Colomb doesn't finish in the first four. Taking that one on, and that's about it. The next race at Cheltenham then is the Coral Cup, of course. 56 grand on offer for these 26 horses, and there's been money behind quite a few, and slightly unsurprisingly, given the exploits of the Irish today. Captain Comby is 15-2 favourite, ahead of Run for Oscar at 8-1, and an Epic Song at 9-1. So an Irish 1, 2, 3 at the top of the betting. I'm going to ask Keels in a second about Campron's chances at 9-1. HMS Seahorse is 10s. Langer Dan trying to win the race at Cheltenham. Again, things that haven't gone his way over the years. Fildor is 12-1. Good Risk at All is 12-1. And it's bigger prices the rest then here for this Coral Cup. But first things first, David Stevens, you've got to have a few extra places, given that you you sponsor the whole thing.
We do 6 places each way in this Coral Cup. 50-1 winner of the race last year would be very welcome again. But yeah, this Captain Combi's been the big move, displacing Run for Oscar and Campron at the head of the betting. For what it's worth, I thought Gordon Elliott would win this, but I'm still trying to decide whether he wins it with Safura or Rian. So come back to me in 2 minutes and I'll have made up my mind.
Very well, thank you, David. In which case, I'll go to Paul Kealy, who loves a big field handicap and has been, chomping at the bit about Campron's chances left, right, and centre. And what a wonderful job they've done getting him to this race off this mark, Keels.
Yeah, done remarkably well. 2 pound lower than last year when he'd been completely laid out for it, and his chance was ruined by chucking it down with rain. The problem again is, of course, the ground is soft. I don't think it's going to be as bad as last year, but by the same token, I'm not as keen on him now as I was. I mean, obviously, I'm on a bigger price, but just the fact that the ground is going to be on the soft side, I thought it would have been exceptionally hard to beat if it had dried out. I still think he'd run well, but I've jumped off him for a couple of others. I backed a horse who beat Captain Combi last time. I can't quite understand why he's a bigger price, because he absolutely hacked up that day. And he tore the field apart from a long way out. He'd have probably won more easily if it had been held onto for a little bit longer. That's San Salvador of Joseph O'Brien's. He name-checked this race straight after that one as well. So I think he's going to run really well. And I don't see what's wrong with Benson, who won the Moore Battle. Obviously, the Shunter picked up the 100 grand double bonus by winning the plate a couple of years ago after winning the Moore Battle. This is more conventional for Benson, staying over hurdles. I actually backed him for this race 2 years ago, anti-post, thinking he's absolutely crying out for a step up in trip, but he obviously went wrong because he didn't run for nearly a year, and then lost his form. But Sandy Thompson's got him right back, and he's hacked up over 2.5 miles at Musselburgh before winning the Moore Battle. So I think he stays the trip very well, and he's going to run a big race.
Okay, Benson, who is in there at 14-1. I've heard they're going for the cross country in the future with him, though. Keels, any truth to Benson and Hedges?
Oh my word!
No truth, Ross, clearly.
No, nothing. What about you? Anything? No, nothing. Fair enough. Tom, talk to us about the Coral Cup here. Plenty of moves for Irish handicappers. It tends to work out, doesn't it, that the British win the handicap chases and the Irish win the handicap hurdles. Do you think that's going to happen in the Coral Cup?
No, I think Campron's going to win. I'm not worried about the ground. I didn't think it was too soft today. I thought the time they were under 4 minutes for the Supreme. I think it'll be probably good to soft. Maybe a little bit softer than that, but forecast suggests after that shower's gone through, it'll be dry. It's going to be cold tonight and then dry up until late on tomorrow. So I think the ground will be fine for him. I think he's got a massive chance. I think the drift out to double figures is perfectly reasonable. I think he'll go well. I unfortunately am a bit responsible for the Captain Conby move because, unlike Keels, I think he's got a very good chance of turning those tables. Unfortunately, when you have to get your copy in at 1 o'clock, they're about the same price, and now I see one's 8-1 and one's 14-1, and I fully get why most people might want to stick with San Salvador, but you nail your colours to Mars, and I've gone for Captain Combi, and I still think Campron has a great chance. The other one I'd throw in would be Beacon Edge, who was 4th in the Stayers Hurdle here. Not a couple of years back, went chasing, sort of went wrong, but shaped all right in a graded race behind Blazing Cup, I think, last time, and he might run well. So they would be my 3: Captain Combi, Beacon Edge, and Campron. I still like Campron the most.
Okay, lovely stuff, Tom. And don't you go nailing any mollers to my cast, because I want to eat those yogurts. That's I've got it all planned out. But can we just have what I quite fancy in this was Good Risk at All. Gentleman who absolutely loves a break. He's finished, I think it's second, first, second off a breath of break. He's won both his starts over 2.5 miles in handicap company by 9 lengths and 4.5 lengths. He was supposed to run in this last year, but it obviously was horrific conditions. And if you watch that Haydock race back at Tom last time out, 3 furlongs from home, he's cruising, but he doesn't get home over the 3 miles. So I thought he had a cracking chance.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, he was definitely one I had a good look at. Nothing wrong with him at all. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about the ground. I don't know why he was pulled out last year, because I always thought he wanted very soft ground. So yeah, good chance. No, nothing wrong with that one, Ross. Ross, go.
There we go. The Tom Segal faint praise approval. Lovely. I'll take it. David Stevens, what about you for the Coral Cup? You said I've given you a couple of minutes. Have you decided?
Sorry, I was just having a minute's silence for your Benson and Hedges joke there, the death of a fine career. I'm wearing the black tie anyway in preparation. Sorry, Safura, one of Gordon Elliott's runners, inexperienced, but has won his last 3, so I'm hoping there'll be more to come. He sneaks in fairly close to the bottom. Davy Russell on board. Gordon Elliott will almost certainly now win it with another one of his.
There we go. Really is the most downbeat end to a preview for a race that you sponsored, David, I could have possibly imagined. So there we go. What do other people fancy for the Coral Cup? Chris Piper, Sporting John, 50-1. HMS Seahorse for a couple. Craig appreciates the gag, so thanks for you. Stevens99 says drying ground should help for run for Oscar. And Captain Combi at 12-1 each way for Foxes. And there we go for the Coral Cup then at that 250 contest. If you are watching, though, this is live and interactive, like I said, so do make sure you like the stream and also subscribe to the Racing Post YouTube channel for the rest of the week's action. Before we move on to the Queen Mother Champion Chase, the second championship race of the week, but I'd be pretty surprised if it was won in the same way that the Champion Hurdle was today, as this is, well, I mean, it's a weird one, isn't it? It is a bit of a weird one. Edwardstone and Energumen are 6-4 joint favourites here, and they've both been beaten fairly comprehensively so far this season in various events, mostly by Editor de Giet, who's 11-2, but he has to prove he'll do it on this course rather than the new course. And then you've got Nube Negra at 20s, Grenadine at 20s, and bizarrely, the youngest of the lot are the 2 outsiders, 2 8-year-olds who are exposed, Funambule Sibila and Captain Guinness at 33-1 the pair, Tom. So you were saying about 9-year-olds winning Novice Chase as well. I mean, this lot have been around the block and could tell you some right old stories about it. The question is, though, what's actually going to step up to the plate and win the damn thing?
I have no idea, Ross. I really, really struggled with this. I struggled with them all, every single horse in the race. We've been through Energumen a million times. I think he'll be ridden. I think the fact that Gentleman de Me isn't here helps him, because I think he's going to sit on Editor de Giet and Funambule Sivola's tail. I think those two will go on, and Energumen will be ridden much more prominently this time. Look, he won it last year. I know I've been on record of saying I think he's overrated. I still think he's overrated, but I'm not totally convinced by any. Obviously, Edwardstone, I'm a paid-up member of his fan club, but I just don't like his prep, really. I don't know why he didn't win last time. I know he was given a lot to do, but he didn't get past. He's then been lame afterwards. I really, really hope Edwardstone wins. Just sort of going a little bit lukewarm with him in the run-up to the race. Editor de Giet, I think, is underrated, but whether he's a 5-1 shot to win a champion chase, I don't know. The more it dries out, the more Nube Negra might hit the frame. I didn't really fancy the 3 at the bottom, so didn't really know where to go. I have just in the last sort of day, I'm beginning to think that Energumen might retain his crown, but I'm severely hoping that Edwardstone does, because as everyone knows, he's a massive favourite of mine, and I'd love Alan King to win, and for someone other than Willie Mullins to win.
Okay, there you go. But I mean, Tom, I feel like you've been sold from Everton to Liverpool here, because I feel like Tom Segal tipping Energumen for the champion chase.
I'm not really tipping it. I would never back him. You asked me who I think might win it, and I think this is a terrible. I think it's a really bad champion chase. I'd love Edwardstone to win, but I'm not convinced he's had the right prep. I think Energumen is going to step up on that other form, so I just have a feeling he might be the one for this day. But I don't know. It's not a race I have much time for, actually. I think of all the championship races at the festival, I think this is the worst by a country mile.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And yeah, I think even the fact that Keels, I started to look at it, and the more I looked at it, I thought even Captain Guinness and Funambule Sibila had a little bit of a squeak. I mean, Funambule Sibila was second in it last year and matched that level at Newbury last time out. And Captain Guinness suddenly, after years of promising runs, has started to put together a reasonable profile. And his last 2 starts were half decent as well. So it's absolutely, it's wide open. But, I mean, you're going to say that Edwardstone's the best 2-mile chaser ever to have run if Tom's tipping an Ergomin.
It's strange, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, the mark is probably correct, but it's not going to surprise you if both of them get beat, is it? I mean, both of them got beat last time by a horse who's in the race. I'd probably end up having a couple of quid on Editor Tajit. I cannot say that for some reason. And I may back one of the rags as well, and it might be Captain Guinness, because, Henry de Bromhead seems to have turned his form right around at the very right time. And he has put in a couple of pretty decent runs, like you said. So I'll have a little crack at Editor de Geet. I'll have an even little smaller crack at Captain Guinness, and I hope the top 2 get chinned. I mean, they got beat last time. It's at Coral's odds, it's 4s on that one of them wins. I'm not sure I'd be that keen on taking that, to be honest.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so that's fair enough, yeah. You start to look at Captain Guinness. I mean, he probably would have placed in a Supreme, wouldn't he, had he not been brought down behind Shishkin. He was 3rd behind Shishkin in the Arkle back in 2021, and I know we got battered by Blue Lord last time out, David, but, I mean, we could see Shishkin and Blue Lord pulling God knows how many lengths clear of the field in the Ryanair, so that form could be given a boost as well. But, yeah, it's a tough one this year.
Yeah, I'd take slight issue with Tom sort of dismissing the race. I mean, you got last year's Champion Chase winner versus last year's Arkle winner, which is always a clash to be savoured, versus a horse that's won the Clarence House most recently. And that horse obviously beat both of those 2. And at the prices, I think Editor de Geet is being completely dismissed. I mean, Minergamine has got to recover from a pretty disappointing run in that Clarence House. I think they blame the white fences or something. But I thought Editor de Geet, won that race on merit, and at the prices, I think I know it's only 2 places each way, obviously, but I think he has to be the bet. But I think it's a better race than perhaps Tom has made out. We do have a price boost on this, and if you do think the front 2 will fight it out, as they did in today's Arkle, the reverse forecast is 6-4 from 11-10. But as I say, I will take them both on with Editor de Geet.
Okay, there you go. Edwardstone and Ergomin to finish 1st and 2nd in either order in the Champion Chase. 6-4 out from 11-2. So it could be 2 E's in the Champion Chase, which would improve it, I guess. Edwardstone 6-4 and Ergomin 6-4. Editor de Geet 11-2. Nube Negra 20s. Grenadine 20s. Funnel Civil 33s. Captain Guinness 33s. But Tom Segal, you started to come round to last year's winner?
Nah, listen, Ross, I would never have a bet in this race. As Keel says, 1-4, that 1-4, that one of them to win is not really my game. I don't see where I'd go apart from it. As I say, if I got there in the morning or saw in the morning that the ground had dried out to good to soft, I might have a few quid each on Nube Negra, but not a race for me.
Keels, anything for you?
Like I said, I'll probably have a couple of quid on Editor de Geet and Captain Guinness, but I mean, it's going to be right at the very, very low end of my stake.
Yeah, fair enough. It's a shame. If there was 8 runners, it would be Captain Guinness each way. But he can still run an interesting race for the Champion Chase tomorrow. Then the feature event of day 2. Still got 3 more to go at Cheltenham for day 2. The cross country chase, very different indeed, of course. But the top 3 in the betting have all been, in their time, Grade 1 placed or winners. Delta Work is 5-4. Galvin is 9-4. Franco de Port is 7-1. Back on the Lash loves it here, of course, 16-1. Gin on Lime for Henry de Bromhead, as we've already been mentioning, is coming into this in cracking nick, 16-1 as well. Dacia Arbor 20-1. Snow Leopardess, big fan club for her as well, 20-1, and then 33-1 bar those. Keels at the cross country here, which again, I guess, like a lot of the races at Cheltenham, has started to attract a classier level of horse.
Mate, come on. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm either going for a fag, a pint, or a sleep, and I might actually do all 3 and come back for the final circuit.
I mean, if you do it all at once, Keels, I'd be impressed, to be fair. So,
what a load of rubbish this race is. It'd be half interesting if it was a handicap. When they made it a level weight race, just allows good trainers like Gordon Elliott to run Grade 1 horses in a race at Cheltenham. Absolutely rubbish it is. I can't wait for them to get rid of it or to at least change it, which they probably won't. So don't care, Galvin.
Fair enough. Tom Segal. Paul Kealy is tipping a horse who finished 4th in the Gold Cup at last year's Cheltenham Festival and is now 9-4 to win the cross country.
Well, he's a very good horse, isn't he? Good festival record, doing something completely different. Delta Work did it last year, didn't he? Came from out of hadn't run over the cross country fences and came and won first. I think he'll probably win, but it's such a shame that you got 2 really good horses there that are running in this race against horses. Franco de Port's very good too, to be fair. He's only rated, I think, a pound below Delta Work. He's been 4th in a Savills Chase as well, so not fair to rule him out of the contest. But the other lads who have been, trying to get a Cheltenham winner, with a back on the lash or a D Zabba, they're light years off the front 3, and one of them will win. I reckon Franco de Port each way, maybe at 7-1. But as Keel says, I won't be doing either any of the 3 things he does, like fag, drinking, or sleeping. But I won't be paying too much attention to this, that's for sure.
No, fair enough.
Make it a handicap, Tom, isn't it? Simple as that.
If it was a handicap, it would be such a much better race, wouldn't it?
Yeah, 6 to 1 field. It'd be perfect.
It would be a really good race to add to the festival again. It used to be really good.
Exactly.
We had a few.
Yeah.
We had a few good touches over the years in the cross country because you could find a horse that was plotted out for it, that had been to Punchestown, done the banks. We'd seen it. You can get a gauge on how good they are over the fences. It's just no fun for anyone apart from Gordon Elliott.
No, fair enough. Or potentially William Mullins, like you said, Franco de Port. I mean, he was behind Galloping de Champs, and Ken Boy was behind him. He came out and won the Bobby Joe next time out. Fury Road was just ahead of him before that. He's finished 3rd in Grade 1 company. French Dynamite was in there as well.
But isn't it, what we're saying, Ross, is that the best trainers who have all the best horses can run their 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th best staying chaser, and also win and come to a Cheltenham Festival race and clean up against all guys that are trying desperately to get 1 winner or get a horse placed.
No, you're right. You're right. It's just this sort of trickle down economics and all that, isn't it? It's just gradually the ones at the bottom get squeezed out, and your Grade 1 horses end up running in this because you take Delta Work, Galvin, Franco de Port out. How do you price that race up? It's absolute. It's all over the shop, isn't it? It's a completely different contest. But it is what it is currently. David, any strong opinions on the cross country? Because there's plenty flying about.
Having had to defend the champion chase last time, I'm now going to defend to a degree the cross country. I mean, it's. I mentioned yesterday about how these Cheltenham races all feature in the top 35 betting races of last year. The cross country race came in at number 18 last year. That's the 18th highest betting turnover race in the whole year. So as much as Keels will be smoking, sleeping and drinking, which would be some feat, there'll be plenty of punters. And in fact, I would wager a fiver that Keels will be among the punters actually having a bet on this race when it comes around.
Oh, I'll have a proper fire up 5 minutes before the race, obviously.
Exactly. We all know that.
Responsibly, of course.
Gordon Elliott wins the race every year, doesn't he? He's got an incredibly strong hand. Obviously, once again, they don't mind spoiling their own party as they did last year. These reports, and again, it's how much do you listen to these things, how much do you try and block it out? But again, quite infectious, these reports about how well Galvin is schooling over these banks at the prices. I'd have to take him over his stablemate. But we have a price boost on the favourite, Delta Work, to win this cross country again by over 5.5 lengths. 130 from 11-4. But plenty, as I say, will be getting involved in the cross country because that is just the lure of this Cheltenham Festival.
There you go. And I'm not going to ask Tom's opinion on the price boost or Keels, I don't think. But that's the cross country tomorrow. And I tell you what, if I open the paper tomorrow, Keels, and you've printed a tip for this, oh well. But never mind. Let's move on.
I should also, sorry, I forgot to say, we are 4 places each way, an extra place each way on this. So,
Keels, is that tempting you in?
Giving it away.
Absolutely not.
Fair enough. Have to be 6 places, I think. Let's get on to the Grand Annual then. This is more like it, isn't it? 20 of them running. To be fair, we've got a few graded quality horses in here as well in a handicap, which is a lot more interesting. Fine Lauders and Dino Blue, 11-2 the pair. We've got Andy Dufresne at 6-1, third time lucky at 11-1, Sublime at 12-1, Time White 14s with Elixir Do Nuts and Dad's Lad, and then we've got the likes of Call Me Lyrene for the aforementioned Gordon Elliott, Global Citizen, of course, coming back for another crack to win it again. Another course horses like Before Midnight in there as well, and Battle Over Doyen at a huge price. Who, of course, was a beaten favourite for the Ballymore a few years ago. Final orders, though. Keels was entered in the Arkle, amongst other things. He's been winning pretty much every race that's put in front of him, over 3 miles or 2. But you've got Dino Blue, who's clearly been very well handicapped. Andy Dufresne, who ran a cracker in this last year. Sublime, who's the most grand annual horse I've ever seen in my life. And I mean, you fancied Elixir to Nuts as well, didn't you, a couple of weeks ago? Is that still the case?
Yeah, give him a chance. I just think he's in the form of his life this year. He's run really well last 3 starts. Second to a next time out runaway winner, then won from a next time out runaway winner, and then split Bonneville Civil and Grenadine in the game spirit, and only went up £2 for that. They're both running in a champion chase, rated much higher than he is. So, I think he's got plenty going for him. I wonder. My only issue is whether he likes a big field, because a lot of some of the performers in sport fields. He was only a novice last year, so I'll forgive him his 2 defeats in this and the Red Rum, and give him another chance. But I came round rather later on to David Pipe's Sizing Potsy, who has a very similar profile to Global Citizen, as he's dropped hugely in the weights. Global Citizen won off 136, I think, last year, having been a mid-150s horse. It's only a year ago that Sizing Potsy won a grade 2 at Navan or Nace, can't remember now. But beating the likes of Master McShay, Silas Emery, and Co. Notebook. He's running 2 chases. He started off winning a novice hurdle for Pipe, then ran second to Neuros at Haydock. His last 2 runs have been over fences, but in the Desert Orchid Chase and in the Clarence House Chase, 2 races he had no chance whatsoever of being competitive in. He's been dropped down to a mark of 140, which is £15 lower than he was at this time last year. Like soft ground, he's got a right chance, hasn't he?
Yeah. Like I said, he's another one of those exposed, classy, well-handicapped sorts in this race. I mean, they're your two options again, aren't they, Tom? The ones who are starting to feel the years, but clearly absolutely relish this kind of challenge. And then there's others that people say, this is a Grade 1 horse with £7 in hand off a handicap mark. But this race in particular really sorts the wheat from the chaff, doesn't it, in jumping terms?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're spot on. You've had 12-year-olds win this race, haven't you? Croco Bay, was it? And last year, Global Citizen was one of the older, he's 10, I think. And as you say, you have a split, don't you, between the ones dropping down the handicap, the ones Keels has talked about, and the sort of up-and-comers, the novices, the horse of Gordon Elliott's that landed a big gamble on COVID, Chosen Mate. You have the dichotomy between the two. I've decided to split between one or the other. To be honest, I thought Dino Blue was a bad price. Now, she might go and win by miles, but she blew out at the festival last year when she was really fancied. This is a totally different kettle of fish to the races she's been running in. I don't think Willie Mullins has ever chased at the festival, and yet she's been backed into favouritism. So I was against her. Andy Dufresne has a chance for JP off the top, but he couldn't win last year off the same mark when, I thought he had a great chance. Final Orders is obviously getting better, but he shot up the handicap. Didn't like Sublime, he never wins. Time White, I thought I had a chance, but was worried about the ground and the track for him. I get Keels' case for Elixir and Nuts, but I preferred his other one. I like Sizing Potsy too. I just thought going back to that Navan win. I'm a massive Master McShee fan, Master McShee, whatever he's called, fan, and he chased home Galopin de Champs before and after that race actually, and I fancied him to give Galopin de Champs a race after that. He clearly wasn't up to that, but he's a very good horse, and Sizing Potsy beat him, and he beat him quite comfortably in that Grade 2 at Navan at this time last year. So I thought he just on, as Keel says, one of those dropping down the handicap marks. The other one I liked at a big price was the novice Call Me Lyrene for Gordon Elliott, just simply because he won what used to be the Pierce hurdle, the handicap hurdle at the Dublin Racing Festival, the one Gaelic Warrior won. He won that the year before. He clearly likes a hustle and bustle of a big field handicap. That's clearly his best form. I just thought he hasn't been seen. He won 2 novice chases on good ground at the start of the season, but Gordon Elliott's kept him off since October, I think. He's coming here fresh. He goes well fresh. And I just thought this might be the type of horse that would relish this type of race. Now, his jumping is a bit hit and miss, but you're getting a big price on the back of that. So those were my 2. I just thought it was a good race to have a crack at a couple of prices in. So I went with Keels with Sizing Potsy, and the other one I liked was Call Me Lyrene. Okay,
there you go. Sizing Potsy and Call Me Lyrene then, who never got involved in the county last year, but has had a spin around in a festival event. But yeah, just a couple of interested me, and they're the kind of the classier horses. One's obviously a lot more exposed. I genuinely think Battle Over Doyen could run a good race here. He's another one who's incredibly well handicapped. Again, at this time last year, he was. This time last year, he was running in the Irish National. Off a mark of 155, which is fairly remarkable, but he has finished 4th around here at the track in Grade 1 company. He's off a mark of 140. And the other one is Cœur Sublime. Again, he's another proper Cheltenham horse, second in the Triumph a few years ago, and he's another one who's definitely had a bit of a prep for this, I think. And what was the horse that these owners went close with in this race a few years ago? Mine's gone completely blank, but
can't remember. I know the one you mean, but I can't remember.
Yeah, it's No, it's not going to come to me, is it? But someone on the chat.
Possibly. He's one of those. He's a bit faint-hearted, isn't he? But I mean, a few similar types have won the race, haven't they?
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's You look back and you do. I mean, Solar Impulse, for example, a few years ago. So yeah, it can be done. David Stevens, what did you make of the Grand Annual?
Yeah, well, no surprise. Obviously, we're very close to the Tizard Yard in terms of sponsoring them, and Joe doing the blog, and he's pretty much said what Keels has said about this horse for this. He's in great form, the best form he's been in for some time. Now, he was in form when he came into this race last year, and I did put that to Joe. I said, does that sort of run last year worry you? He said, no, we just put a line through it. He's more inexperienced now. It'd be nice actually to get a bit of a boost for that run at Newbury in the champion chase a bit earlier. So this was the one that Joe has sort of put up as his best chance of the week. I mean, Oscar Elite ran well today to finish 5th in the Ultima. So it'd be lovely to see Elixir de Nuts run a big race. And just a couple there that were mentioned. The one, Lyrene Sia, that's being back. No surprise, Tom's put that up. And sorry, Battle Over Doyen, Ross, that was 33 to 1 shot. That's also been nibbled at from 40 to 1.
Yeah, Off-World at Home says, Battle Over Doyen, are you joking? On the chat. So thanks ever so much for that. So hopefully see him creep into the frame. But Tom, the Grand Annual?
Yeah, well, I've split my stakes on just a couple of big price. I thought it was a really, really difficult race this year. There's, sometimes you get the obvious one that sticks out like a sore thumb. I didn't think there was this year, so I went for a couple of big price. Sizing Potsy and Call Me Lyrene. Okay,
there you go. And Keels?
Sizing Potsy and Elixir de Nuts.
Okay, I'll go for 2 horses who don't have any fan club looking at the chat, Cœur Sublime and Battle Over Doyen. And David?
Sizing Potsy and Call Me Lyrene, both 16 to 1 shots, and I will stick with Elixir de Nuts.
There we go. The final race on day 2 of the Cheltenham Festival then is the bumper, which of course was won last year by Facile Vega. Will we see a similarly impressive winner this time around? A Dream to Share is the 4 to 1 favourite, clearly the best horse in the race, and he's just edging favouritism, although it's been a bit touch and go at the top with a few of them. It's For Me is 5 to 1, and Fact to File also 5 to 1 for Willie Mullins. Fun 8 to 1 for Willie Mullins. Better Days Ahead and Chapeau de Soleil are 12 to 1 shots. Western Diego at 14s for Willie Mullins. Encanto Bruno is 14 to 1 as well, and you've also got Loch Lynn, Westport, Cove, Chosen Witness, Lecky Watson, and Captain Code, all for Willie Mullins, Tom. And they used to say, what was it? If Willie Mullins sends one to the bumper, you know which one to back. What's he got? Half the field?
How many has he got? Did you say 10, 11?
I genuinely lost count. I was scrolling down thinking he can't have any more, but yeah, apparently he has. He has got. I genuinely lost count. I'll count it up while you tell me what the bet is.
But the interesting thing was there was a quote. Well, I think it was from Patrick or one of them, who said, "We're running however many, 10 or 11, but the 2 best ones are still at home." So that made me think that none of them were going to win. I think Fact to File has a chance. I thought, just looking at the forecast, there was rain coming in sort of about 4 or 5 o'clock. If there was a lot of rain, that came in and it turned the ground soft for the bumper like it did last year, then Factor File has a good chance. He has a chance of turning it around with the Dream to Share. I think that Leopardstown bumper form is miles clear of anything else anyone else has done. I'm on a Dream to Share from a long time ago and would love him to win for the Kylys and the Gleesons. I'm not as worried about the ground as many. He's by Muhara, who's a lot of his progeny on the flat have loved soft ground. Ashada won the Champions Day on soft ground. Alba Flores by Muhara. They both love soft ground. So I'm not worried that he likes the ground. I just wonder whether it'll turn into a massive stamina test, because he's a half brother to Raise You, who was a very good sort of mile and 6 horse on the flat. If it turns into a massive sort of slogfest, and I think there's a chance Factor File could turn the placings round. If it's just like the ground was today, I think the Dream to Share is definitely the one to beat. When I did my anti-post piece the few weeks ago, I was on a Dream to Share, and I also liked John McConnell's horse, Encanto Bruno. I liked the fact that he came for a little sneaky preview around the track in October or November, won a bump, very easily beating Strong Leader, who, while he wasn't good enough for the Supreme, he ran in the Supreme today.
Yeah, I mean, he's the first one home with the British, I think. Tom.
He did okay. Came 9th. First home with the Brits.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it genuinely was the best we heard.
Yeah, but I thought he was the other one. Obviously, McConnell's got a great record at Cheltenham. Might have won the National Hunt Chase today. I actually don't think he was going to win. Me at Mile Mission, I thought he was getting tired, but might have won the National Hunt Chase today with Mile Mission, as I just said. So those were my two: Encanto Bruno and a Dream to Share. But if it gets into a quagmire mudfest, stamina whacking nightmare race, then Factor File would be also right in there.
Okay, Paul Kealy then send us out with a strong opinion in the bumper.
Yeah, go home before the bumper, Golden Rule. Actually the one day this week I'm actually going to be there for the last race. It has to be the blinking bumper, doesn't it? But like Tom, I've sort of like a Dream to Share. I think that is the best form, and I've also backed Encanto and Bruno. Did a couple of previews with Tommy Scudamore, and he was pretty, very keen on him. Said it was like, if there was a ride he'd think he'd missed the most, he would be one of them, because he was really impressed with him. And Strong Leader was only beaten 12 lengths in that Supreme, and absolutely thrashed the rest of the Brits as well. So he's obviously beating a good horse very easily. So I'd take a chance on him.
Okay. Can I just a quick one, by the way? I mean, again, I do think that Dream to Share form is very, very good. But back and forth was Facile Mode, who would have appreciated the ground a lot softer. I was pretty impressed with him on debut, and Dream to Share's 4-1. I know he was beaten 14 lengths, but he was held up at the back. He just didn't seem to have the pace on that ground, and he's 33s, 40s, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, as I say, it's not surprising, is it? He was beaten by a couple in it by 14 lengths. It's hardly going to be a short price, is he? But I agree with you. I don't think that was necessarily his form. I know everyone was sort of lining up to buy him after he won his bumper first time out, beating, was it Necky Watson and a few others. Thought he was really impressive that day. He could easily bounce back, if the ground got stopped.
David Stevens, the champion bumper, then see us out with anything you fancy, quite frankly.
4 places each way, as opposed to the standard 3. In fact, the Grand Annual, I should have mentioned, also is 5 places each way, additional place there. Kills has already passed on the mention from Encanto Bruno. Tom Scudamore still doing a bit for us and still very sweet on this horse. And actually the form of his 2 wins have worked out well as well. Of the Willie Mullins 10, I think it is, I will probably be back in Fun. The mare, the race she won at Leopardstown looked good. She looked good that day, so she's 2 from 2. But listen, if Willie Mullins has got something better than these at home, then it might not be the year to back his. But as I say, with 10 in the field, I'll pick one. Fun.
Okay, fun then. It is at 8-1 for Beach Boys fan David Stevens. Okay, we'll get the naps of the day in a second to wrap up the show after this. That's it then. We'll be back tomorrow night, of course, to dissect what happened in day 2 and get stuck into day 3. But first, it's the best bets on day 2, and it's over to Tom Segal. What are you picking?
Well, it wasn't the plan, but now these markets are all going haywire. Just in the last few hours before we come on air, I thought Time Hill each way at a double-figure price in the Brown Advisory would do for me, really.
Okay, lovely stuff. Keels, what have you got?
Yeah, I've decided to come pretty keen on Size and Potsy in the Grand Annual. Let's go for it.
Okay, Size in Potsy it is. I'll go for champ Kealy in the Ballymore for the Willie Mullins stable, which is a pretty good way in these novices. David Stevens, what about you?
Well, the temptation was to go for Impere Passe and join all the other favourite backers in the first, but I'll be a little bit bolder and go for Editor de Gite in the feature Champion Chase.
Lovely stuff. All right then, guys. We'll be back tomorrow, where hopefully we'll have, well, certainly more success in terms of the tipping. But that's the day 1 was incredible for the performances. Days 2, 3, and 4 tend to get a little bit bigger prices and hopefully some nice price winners as well. Thank you to Tom, David, and Paul. Thank you to everyone for watching at home. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow night. See you there.